Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Won't you share? Good morning. Good morning. You. Good morning. Good morning to you and many more. Good morning, and welcome to Daring Dialogues. And I am your host today, Shantae Charles. I hope that you're having a great and wonderful day. Now, it is a bit on the slightly windy side outside today. It is a little overcast and definitely looks like we're going to get more rain. I am over here in the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, Virginia region. And I don't know where you are in the world today, but I hope that you are having good weather at least. We are going to dive right into our book readings for this day. The first one is Moving Beyond Broke. Now, we are going to take this book into our next season as we start wrapping this season up. So, if you haven't gotten this book and you want to read along with us on Fridays, feel free to pick it up. It is all about the power of perseverance in your personal finances. Um, Dasha Kennedy is going to take us through some very practical things as she shares her own experience of how to build your wealth. And then we're also going to look at Live Nourished. We started this a couple of Fridays ago, and we're going to continue. Make peace with food, banish body shame, and reclaim joy. So, over here, sometimes we like to read two books at a time. Sometimes we just focus on one. Like yesterday on Thursdays, if you were over here, we're focused on forgiveness and reading through that book, which we're almost done with. But on Fridays, we're focusing on health and wealth, nutrition, wellness, all those good things. All right. So let's look at moving beyond broke. And she's talking in this chapter, it's entitled Earning My First Dollar Budgeting. And good morning to those of you who are coming in. This section is called We're Up Against History. We're up against history and reclaiming our right to be financially free. So, those are the first two sections that we're going to read. Unfortunately, as she says here, my experience was not unique. Women have been subjected to wage and workplace discrimination for generations, and we still are today. In the 19th and 20th centuries, women were restricted to low paying jobs and earned less than men while doing the same work. And if you're just coming in, I've already said hello. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on followers of the page. So we are not dealing with interruptions while we're reading. All right. All right. So if you want to comment, you have to be subscribed to the page at least 10 minutes in order to comment. Women have been subjected to wage and workplace discrimination for generations, and we still are today. In the 19th and 20th centuries, women were restricted to low paying jobs and earned less than men while doing the same work. Our entry into paid employment has played a major role in the growth of our economy. But even still, the wage gap continues. Currently, white women earn 83 cents for every dollar that a white male earns, and black women earn 63 cents for every dollar that a white male earns. Black women have historically faced economic challenges, including wage inequity, limited access to credit, and disproportionate burdens of unpaid work and labor. Despite these challenges, Black women have demonstrated financial resilience and resourcefulness, but that rarely comes easy. Although I would like to believe that times have changed since my experience with my father 20 years ago, society has not made much progress when it comes to women and money. It's only been 50 years since the Equal Credit Opportunity Act was established in 1974, making it unlawful for lenders to discriminate against women. The Women's Business Ownership Act wasn't signed into law until 35 short years ago in 1988. The same year I was born, she says, eliminating laws that required women to have their husband or male family member sign their business loans. It may sound like a bunch of legal jargon when we talk about laws and acts being established and passed, but when we attach real people and real scenarios to them, we get a better understanding of how detrimental some of these laws have been to women after they were terminated. 60 years ago, if my grandmother wanted to purchase a home or take out any line of credit, she would have needed her husband, father, brother, or even her son to co sign for her. Even her own financial statements proving that she indeed could have covered the line of credit on her own would not have done. This means women have had only less than one generation to take advantage of most opportunities to earn an income and build wealth for ourselves and our families. Even still, we are met with many other adversities in and out of the workforce. Meanwhile, men have had centuries to build wealth and pass it down, further widening the income and wealth gap between the genders. The obstacles to earning a sufficient income only increase for Black women. Black women lose close to $1 million over the course of a 40-year career because of unfair pay practices. That's an additional $25,000 per year that could have gone to saving, investing, increasing our quality of life, reliable transportation, healthier food choices, better child care and education for our children, and being able to take on jobs we want instead of the jobs we need. While being paid unfairly, Black women are still expected to financially cover the same expenses as our non Black counterparts, but from smaller paychecks. Discussions about the gender wage gap are important, but they're not enough. I'm talking about the systematic financial oppression of women of color throughout history. Black women have borne the brunt of generations of gender and race discrimination in every aspect of wealth building and financial freedom, from being considered property to being blocked from owning property, redlined in the housing market and sidelined in the workplace, constantly overworked and underpaid while being told to be grateful for crumbs falling off the table while being denied a seat. Now, there was some data that has just recently come out, and I want to take a look and see if I can find that. The April jobs report, this was put out on yesterday, as a matter of fact, in the business section. April jobs report Black women lost 106,000 jobs, the most among all workers. So when she talks about this and she is talking about the disparity, we literally have in real time how this is still affecting Black women in particular. Reclaiming our right to be financially free. I know these harsh statistics can make an already difficult situation feel worse, but stay with me. I wrote this to help Black women and others thrive despite the financial limitations we face. And to do that, it helps to know the facts so we can rise above them. The truth is that women are most likely to experience pay inequality in the workplace in every country and in every industry. The median income for young Black women between 20 and 29 years old in America is only $21,400 a year. Now, I'm referring to earned income here, which is the money that you get from any work that you perform, whether that's from your employer or self employment as a business owner. This looks like hourly wages, salaries, bonuses, commission pay, tips, or any net earning from any gig work. The key word to focus on here is earned. The definition of earned here is to obtain money in exchange for your labor or your services. In other words, you get money for the work that you put in. Everyone has the right to be paid fairly for the work they do. I first felt the sting of pay inequality when working for my dad. At the time, that injustice hurt emotionally, although aside from having less spending money in my pocket, it didn't harm me logistically as yet. My parents covered my basic needs. But raising girls in a world where pay inequality is the status quo sets us up for a lifetime of undue struggle. Earned income determines most people's ability to meet their basic needs. This poses a big challenge for so many Black women who face a wider pay gap despite participating in the workforce at a much higher rate than any other woman. Most of our experience with money exists at the intersectionality of both sexism and racism, and this upholds harmful practices that work directly against our ability to earn a sufficient wage. We are often left working twice as hard for half the pay while still trying to maintain a household and manage our finances with much smaller opportunities. Pay inequality leads women to having fewer financial resources to support themselves and families. It makes it extremely difficult for them to achieve financial independence. Add to this, statistically, women are expected to live longer than men. Longevity paired with low income means women must continuously find strategic and relevant methods to do more with less. When you are paid less than what you are worth, trying to thrive financially is like running up a down escalator. It doesn't mean anyone in this situation is stuck forever, but we need to take action to break out of this cycle. Looking at the big picture, we need to teach our young girls the power of negotiating as early as possible. When I got my first taste of unfair pay at 12 years old, I didn't have the words to describe what I was feeling. But now, as an adult, I truly believe that I had more encouragement to be confident had I had it and assertive. I would have empowered me. It would have empowered me to speak up for myself or at least ask why and put the responsibility of making sense on this in my father's hand instead of myself. When girls and women learn to negotiate, they become change makers, shaping their own financial futures. That said, it's important to note that while teaching young girls to negotiate is essential, it should not be their sole responsibility to ensure they receive fair treatment. Systems and policies should be in place to ensure that girls and women are not discriminated against and are given equal opportunities. Negotiating skills are just one tool that you can use to help level the playing field, but it's also critical that we work towards systemic change. This takes a long time. As we teach our girls to stand up for their financial rights and we push for a world where they don't have to fight for those rights, we need to take control of our financial futures now. We can do this despite the history we were raised in or the forces working against us today. This entire book is designed to help you do exactly that. We do not have to be bound by the constraints of our circumstances. I started this book with a spotlight on income because the first step to reclaiming your financial future is to pay close attention to your income and your spending. Yes, everything is harder when your income is limited, but it's still essential to have a spending strategy while you work on growing your income. Looking back at my family's money situation, it's clear to me that this was missing from their picture. When I was growing up, my parents did not discuss finances with my siblings and me. Still, in a small two-bedroom apartment, you are bound to see and overhear things, and those things made me curious about our financial situation. I would overhear my dad complain about the cost of certain things, and this made me believe we didn't have a lot of money. There would be times when we would have to shop at the discount store for groceries, and even then, Dad would complain about the prices. Other times, my parents would be so low on funds that they have to get household items like toilet tissue or light bulbs from the corner store, where they were often 3 times the price with a promise to pay later. Yet, in the same week, Dad would buy every child in our neighborhood, including all 4 of his children, popsicles when the ice cream truck drove down our street. Don't get me wrong, I love this memory of him. It reminds me of what a big heart he had even through tough times. But his contradictory financial behaviors confused me. They made me question the seriousness of his financial complaints or whether money really was an issue like he made it seem. Looking back now, it's clear to me that my parents were struggling with two very real financial limitations. One, they were trying to support four children on a very low income. Growing up, every adult I knew worked a service based job that did not pay well. I remember waking up as my dad left the house before dawn to make it to the barbecue restaurant he worked for, or begging my mom to let me stay up late to wait for my grandmother to come home from her job at a local nursing home. I didn't fully understand it as a child, but it was very difficult for my parents to make ends meet as a family of six with jobs like these. They were stuck in a cycle of waiting for payday and even then not having enough to cover basic necessities. Number two, they did not have the financial tools to change their situation, nor did they have the educational resources to learn more. Despite these barriers, they did try. My dad's attempt to launch Lewis Kitchen was full of optimism, but he never managed to grow it into a profitable business. I believe things could have turned out differently for our whole family if my parents had had a better understanding of how to manage and grow their money, both personally and professionally. It's hard to break out of a challenging money situation without tools to help you rise above whatever limitations you're facing. And the first one you need is the most powerful way to take action, the most basic, a budget to track your income and spending. So, next time we get into this book, we'll be looking at your first financial tool, a budget. Our second book for today, Live Nourish, is our book all about nutrition. And we're going to get into, and I'll hold it up so you all can see the cover. We're going to get into the topic of yo-yo dieting with the author here and the pipeline of diets to eating disorders. We'll see what she has to say to us on these two topics. Yo-yo dieting. Diet culture has really done a number on us. Despite the health risks, we continue to uphold it. Why? Well, vanity says that a thinner aesthetic is preferable, and we are told to do everything possible to get to that aesthetic. This is the reason so many of us have tried multiple diets throughout our lifetime. Hello, Oprah. We lose weight and then we gain it back, most of the time gaining more weight than we originally started with. Weight cycling or yo-yo dieting is defined as losses and subsequent regains of body weight, typically occurring in association with weight loss dieting. As mentioned before, around 80% of people who lose weight will gradually regain it at the end, up at the same weight or even heavier than they were before they went on a diet. Not to mention the long-term adverse health consequences can include an increased risk for eating disorders, other psychological disorders, and multiple comorbidities, including type 2 diabetes, hypertension, cancer, bone fractures, and increased mortality. So, what makes it a cycle? It follows some semblance of this pattern. Step one, you're made to believe that something is wrong with your body, and the only way to fix it is through dieting. Now, full disclosure, I have never participated in dieting culture. Step two, you decide to embark on the diet that you heard about through a friend, colleague, aunt, wellness influencer, because if it worked for them, that must mean it will work for you. Step three, the pounds seamlessly come off and the victorious feeling sets in. Step four, you realize that you are becoming more preoccupied with food, constantly thinking about the foods on the list of restrictions. You're also starting to feel stress and anxiety around maintaining the diet. Step five, you start to allow yourself indulgences or cheat days on said foods. Step six, the feeling of giving up is setting in because the cheat days are becoming more consistent and you feel as though you're becoming obsessed with food. Step seven, you start regaining weight. Step eight, you begin convincing yourself that this time will be different because you will have more willpower. Step nine, you start a new diet because this one will work for sure. Now, I want to make something super clear. I do not use or encourage the use of terms indulge unless we're talking about purchasing an expensive pair of shoes, cheat unless we're talking about infidelity or copying someone's exam, or willpower because it's not a superpower. Nor do I think anyone's body is in need of fixing. I'm including these steps because they illustrate the reasons that diets work, but they really don't. Diet culture thrives on making us believe that something is wrong with our body, and the only way to fix it is to intentionally contort ourselves. But when our efforts to contort don't work, it is us. We are the problem, not the system itself. This is incredibly wrong and a scam that diet culture plays over and over again. The pipeline of diets to eating disorders. Not every diet creates an eating disorder, but there's a noticeable pipeline from one to the other. According to the National Eating Disorders Association, NEDA or NEDA, eating disorders are serious but treatable mental and physical illnesses that can affect people of all genders, ages, races, religion, ethnicity, orientations, body shapes, and weights. What does this have to do with dieting? When we are dieting, we are using restrictive methods and often discordant and disordered eating habits. Disordered eating is defined as having irregular behaviors surrounding eating that do not meet the diagnostic criteria for an eating disorder. According to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, disordered eating symptoms can include chronic weight fluctuation, frequent dieting, anxiety associated with specific foods or meal skipping, rigid rituals and routines surrounding food and exercise, feelings of guilt and shame associated with eating, preoccupation with food, weight, and body image that negatively impacts the quality of life, a feeling of loss or control around food, including compulsive eating habits, and using exercise, food restriction, fasting, or purging to make up for bad foods consumed. Notice any similarities between these symptoms of disordered eating and dieting? We call it willpower when we decide to miss social events because the food being served might not be on our list of approved foods. We take the blame when we start craving the foods that we are restricting, calling ourselves obsessed or addicted. We have become so accustomed to disordered habits that we don't even recognize them as disordered. Fearing food to the point of counting every single morsel and feeling stress over possibly going over your allotted amount is not healthy. We get so wrapped up in the promises of diet culture and the quick fix mentality that we often ignore the effects and the toll that dieting has on us. Think about those advertisements for medications that list all the ways that taking this simple pill will cure everything, but then at the end very quickly divulge in the never ending list of risks that may come and make someone think twice about taking that same pill. This is analogous to when someone starts a diet and also ignores the problems that come with it. How we have how have we normalized writing down every morsel of food that we put in our mouths? How have we normalized implying that one food or food group is the root cause of our problems? How have we normalized skipping social events and feeling isolation from fear of food? And most alarming, how is it that we as a society are so concerned with gaining weight and scared of an obesity epidemic, but we simply shrug at eating disorders and the increasing number of people who are suffering from them? Because we are sold lies from diet culture. And since fat phobia has also been ingrained in our minds, we don't seem to mind working tirelessly in an attempt to contort our bodies to fit a mold. Eating disorders and disordered eating. This is our last section. The tactics that we use to contort our bodies very often qualify as disordered eating. This includes the use of diet pills, laxatives, purging, binging in conjunction with excessive exercising, and food restriction. A quick note on terms here. Disordered eating does not automatically equate to an eating disorder, since not all behaviors meet the specific criteria from the DSM. Further, There's also orthorexia nervosa, which isn't formally recognized in the DSM, but describes an obsession with healthy eating. This can mean checking ingredient lists in order to determine the healthiness of a food, cutting out food groups entirely, being unwilling to consume anything that isn't pure or healthy, showing distress when healthy options are not present, and much more. The similarities between orthorexia and anorexia nervosa include development of food preferences, inherited differences in taste perception, food neophobia or pickiness, and a history of parental eating disorders. Even without the DSM diagnosis, disordered eating is still extremely problematic and should be addressed with the help of a qualified medical professional. The symptoms might not be as extreme as those with a diagnosable eating disorder, but it is possible for individuals to develop full blown eating disorders if not dealt with. Eating disorders are complex diseases that do not discriminate on any background. There are many factors that can cause eating disorders, including biological risk factors such as genetics and family history. Those who have a family history of mental illness are more likely to also experience mental illness, and diagnoses with depression, anxiety, or substance use commonly occur with eating disorders. Unlike what we see portrayed in the media, most people with an eating disorder are not underweight, wealthy, and white. Because of that stereotype, there are many people who are not considered sick enough to receive treatment or don't believe that they have a problem. But an individual can experience a severe eating disorder at any weight. While eating disorders and disordered eating are more common in females, we are becoming more aware of a growing number of men who seek help for eating disorders. Numerous male celebrities are opening up and telling their stories, helping to bring this serious issue to the limelight. Actor Channing Tatum revealed on The Kelly Clarkson Show regarding his Magic Mike physique that it's hard to look like that. Even if you do work out, to be that kind of in shape is not natural. Tatum said, "That's not even healthy. You have to starve yourself. I don't think that when you're that lean, it's actually healthy." While I'm not diagnosing him or suggesting a disorder, the pressure that Hollywood can exert to obtain a certain physique, no matter how harmful the methods used, is not limited to women only. In the United States alone, eating disorders will affect 10 million men at some point in their lives. But due in large part to cultural bias, they are much less likely to seek treatment for their eating disorders. Men are also more likely to be focused on building muscle rather than on weight loss, purging via exercise, and misuse of steroids. Women of color are another underrepresented group when it comes to not only recognizing eating disorders, but also seeking treatment. This isn't necessarily due to body image struggles, but because women of color suffer from an increase in stress from discriminatory social structures. Eating disorders are the sum of many stressors. They can be in part from environmental stress such as abuse, racism, poverty, or other environmental factors. For many cultures, weight and body are normal topics at the dinner table, and a way that some family members attempt to show love, either through what they think is lighthearted humor, "Every time I see you, you keep getting bigger," or by inquiring about your health in relation to someone else's size or body. "Do you really think you need to be eating that?" But intent doesn't equal outcome, and these triggering scenarios can lead to eating disorders. What some might perceive as harmless comments or suggestions can be dangerous depending on whose ears they fall on. We often receive mixed messages as well, such as, "Finish everything on your plate, but don't eat too much." "You are so beautiful and would be even prettier if you lost weight." "If you don't ask for seconds, you're going to insult your grandma." "Wait, you're taking another helping?" Family dynamics could also mean growing up with food insecurity or a lack of access to food. Social media can play a role as well. We are bombarded with images of what we should strive for and what we should want to look like. And sometimes even those images are put in your face by other people. When we see something enough times, the message being passed down is, "You should want to look like this." The more we see these visuals, the more we internalize these messages, unless you're taking an active role in not internalizing those messages for yourself. Psychological factors such as perfectionism, distorted body image, and or past-present traumas are also leading factors in eating disorders. Perfectionism has many layers, which include the pursuit of high standards and critical self-evaluation. High rates of perfectionism are found in anxiety disorder and depression, and perfectionism is significantly associated with anxiety and depression in those who have eating disorders. While feeling the need to micromanage and obsessively track food intake and exercise excessively does not always cause eating disorders, it never helps with building a healthy relationship with food. Tracking food intake is essentially calorie counting, rebranded as something cool, a move right out of the classic diet culture playbook. So that was chapter one on why diets don't work. Next time, we will pick up in chapter two, the hamster wheel of diet culture. And she's going to give us, um, we'll be taking an inventory to see if we participated in diet culture. All right. I don't think that I have my co lead here today. If you are here, let me know. But I don't see you. Let me scroll down. I do not see him today. All right. So I hope that we've said something today to get you thinking about these two topics. One, personal finance and budgeting. Do you have a budget? Do you stick with that budget? Is your budget very rigid, or do you have a general overall budget that you operate from? That's the first question. Second question is, have you ever participated in diet culture? What has been your experience with it? Let us know in the comment section. All right. Okay, you are here. All right. I'm going to send you the link. I didn't see you down there, so I'm going to. It will send you the correct thing. We shall see. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, be thinking about that. And if you participated in diet culture, let us know in the comments. I'm interested in hearing from people who have participated in diet culture. What have you found to be the greatest challenge about it? As she said, she does not believe that it works. She's a dietitian, she's a nutritionist, and she doesn't believe that it works. So we'll get into more about that on our next time, our next reading. Do you see the link? I'm going to send it one more time.